In this video, we are going to be discovering what brain type Baki Hanma has. These are the brain types that he could potentially have, whether it's low tier prey or apex predator, we do not know, but we are going to essentially analyze his traits, his characteristics, in order to determine which one it is. So firstly, we are going to run through the predator traits. So these are good. The more of these he has, the more likely he is to get the apex predator brain, which is obviously the best, the strongest, and the most desirable, the one that you do want. So firstly, attentional control. He is extremely high in. He can maintain complete focus under absurd levels of pressure and pain. For example, during the fight with Spec, Baki maintains technical focus despite brutal environmental destruction and constant pressure. Number 2 is situational awareness, which again he is extremely high in. He constantly reads positioning, rhythm, intention, and behavioral cues. For example, during the Retsu fights, he adapts instantly to stance changes and attack patterns. Number 3 is behavioral efficiency, which he is very high in. Baki wastes almost no movement during serious combat, and some exact examples are during high-level fights, his attacks become increasingly minimalist and efficient. Number 4, strategic restraint and timing, which he is extremely high in, one of his strongest apex traits. For example, against Olivia, Baki patiently studies weaknesses before escalating fully. Number 5 is adaptive arousal regulation, which he is extremely high in. Baki can switch between relaxed, calm, and maximum combat intensity instantly. For example, he casually socializes moments before deadly combat without visible dysregulation. Number 6 is decisive execution, which he is extremely high in. Once Baki commits, hesitation is nearly non-existent. For example, against Ali Jr., Baki immediately exploits openings without mercy. 7 is controlled assertiveness, which he is very high in. Baki uses aggression selectively and proportionally. For example, he does not constantly dominate socially for ego. Number 8, risk calibration, which he is very high in. Baki accepts extreme risk, but usually knowingly and purposefully. For example, he willingly fights superior opponents to accelerate adaptation. 9 is sustained persistence. He is extreme in, one of Baki's defining traits. For example, continuous training despite catastrophic physical punishment. Number 10 is rapid emotional recovery, which he is very high in, a major difference between Baka and trauma-driven predator characters. For example, after losses, Baki rapidly returns to adaptation rather than emotional collapse. Number 11 is cooperative strategy and coordination, which is moderate to high in. Baki is not highly team-oriented, but coordinates effectively when it is needed. Examples is he interacts respectfully with mentors and allies without excessive dominance in security. Number 12 is predictive pattern recognition, extremely high, one of his most elite traits. For example, he rapidly predicts opponent rhythm, muscle loading, and attack sequencing. Number 13 is cognitive flexibility and adaptability. He is extremely high in, possibly his greatest overall trait. For example, he adapts across radically different fighting styles. Number 14 is trial and error optimization, which is, again, extremely high in. Baki learns absurdly fast from direct feedback. For example, he often improves mid-fight after experiencing attacks. Number 15 is engagement-driven motivation, which he is extreme in. This is central to Baki's nervous system. For example, he derives fulfillment from challenge and growth itself. Number 16 is commitment locking. He's extremely high in. Once Baki commits, disengagement becomes nearly impossible psychologically. For example, his pursuit of surpassing Yujiro, I don't know how to say his name, I'm not going to lie, Yujiro remains unwavering for years. 17. High signal to noise perception, which is extremely high. Baki filters irrelevant emotional and environmental noise exceptionally well. Exact examples are during combat, he ignores crowd pressure, intimidation, and pain distraction. Number 18 is low cognitive load operation, which is very high in Baki functions with minimal internal friction during action. For example, he rarely spirals into hesitation or overanalysis. Number 19 is independent social calibration, which is extremely high in. Baki is highly internally governed, and an exact example is that he trains and fights based on internal values rather than approval. Number 20 is emotional non-contamination during action, which he's extremely high in. And an exact example is fear, pain, anger, and humiliation rarely interrupt execution quality. So, for his final rank, why not perfect apex? The main limiters for Baki is emotional complexity surrounding Yujiro, his father, occasional identity attachment, and some lingering emotional vulnerability around family dynamics. So there's basically no prey traits except from these are some hints of prey traits, but apart from this, there's no prey traits, which is why we haven't listed out a bunch of prey traits. There's no point in going through them because he barely has any, which leads to him having his final rank of AP, Apex Predator Brain, with occasional temporary medium tier predator-like emotional dips during father-related psychological conflict. So that's why he wouldn't be a perfect apex predator because he has those dips. But overall, he is an apex predator brain, which for reference is this one. Now, if you want to discover your own rank and discover exactly what brain you have on this scale, then you can join the school for free, which is in the link in my bio, and it will be in the description of this video.